Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Shanti Mantra. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranas Chakshusrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranam Astva Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te mai santo, te mai santo. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Second passage. Saha द्वादश वर्षः उपेत्य चतुर्विंशति वर्षः सर्वान् वेदान् अधीत्य महामनाः अनुचानमानि स्तब्ध एयाय तं पिता उवाच श्वेतकेतो यन्न सौम्य इदं महामनाः अनुचानमानि स्तब्धोऽसि उत तमादेशम् अप्राक्ष्यः. So when the father saw that the son Shvetaketu, having spent 12 years in the Gurukulam with the teacher, has come back, has studied all the Vedas in 12 years, but unfortunately, it is said in Sanskrit, Vidya Vinayena Shobhate. The knowledge always shines, looks beautiful when accompanied with humility. Here on the other hand, the knowledge brought arrogance, pride, and irreverence. So, father said, this is totally unbecoming of this boy. It's not becoming of him. Meaning that this knowledge, has now distracted him onto the path of samsara, path of suffering. In fact, this being proud, arrogant, stiff, unbending, this itself is samsara, understand? Samsara is no different from this. But all of this shows an inner pain, some kind of pain. That pain comes out, which is what we call grief or sadness, which is what comes out as arrogance, pride, imposing myself upon others, throwing my weight upon others, being aggressive, intimidating, and stuff like that. These things which are generally considered as signs of success in the world, all of these in fact are nothing but the signs of inner suffering. So how sad it is that a person, after accomplishing so much in the world, in terms of wealth, name, fame, etc., becomes proud, becomes arrogant, becomes disrespectful, irreverent. So something happens to this person. Maybe it was always there, ignorance is always there, and ignorance brings about the identification upadhi with the body, mind, sense complex. Here one part of upadhi buddhi. In case of Shvetaketu, it is buddhi intellect, which is where a great accomplishment has come. And identifying with that accomplishment, you call that accomplishment as your own self or call it your accomplishment. Is these kind of notions arise on account of identification with the non-self. And stronger the identification is, stronger sense of smallness, because upadhi is insignificant. The body, sense organs, mind, intellect, however great they may be, still they're insignificant in terms of the totality. In terms of purnatvam, the totality which is my nature, this poor thing is just insignificant. It is just a medium for manifestation of the purnatvam. Like a bulb is manifestation of electricity, which is 33,000 volts when it is, transmitted. This bulb is a little medium. So what manifests is insignificant compared to what is manifesting, and similarly also what manifests through this body, mind, sense complex, the personality, is an insignificant thing. It is given to us as a gift for conducting ourselves and doing what is required to be done. So if you properly use it, it becomes a means of reaching the goal, moksha. But there is always the possibility of improperly using it. That's called samsara, that's called ignorance. So this is what happened to Shvetaketu, and father saw this, and out of compassion for the son and love for the son, the father is a wise person, extremely intelligent person, and how to now bring out the son, from this boy, from his delusions, from his Brahma, from this samsara. And they were asked a very amazing, unusual, or out of the world question. Uta tamadesam aprakshah. Hey Shvetaketu, did you ask your teacher about that which can only be known by the instruction of the teacher? Number one, yena ashrutam shrutam bhavati amatam matam avijñātam vijñātam iti. It's a very famous statement of the ChhandogyaUpanishad, 6th chapter, by listening to which everything else becomes listened to, by reflecting upon which, by deliberating upon which, everything else becomes deliberated upon, by knowing which, everything becomes known. This is called a unique proposition the Upanishads have. is found elsewhere also. In ChhandogyaUpanishad also we find this aspirant approaching the teacher and asking question, Kasmin bhago vijñāte sarvendam vijñātam bhavati. O revered sir, what is it? Knowing which everything becomes known. In the Upanishad also you find Atmani drishte shrute mate vijñāte sarvam viditam. If you know the Atma, then everything becomes known. So this proposition of knowing everything by knowing one thing is familiar in the Upanishads. But it's most clearly brought out here. In fact, the whole 6th chapter is dedicated to unfolding this proposition as to how everything can be known by knowing one thing. So when Shvetaketu heard this most extraordinary thing, never heard about this. Well, to the best of my understanding, when you know one thing, only that thing is known like a part. By knowing the part, you don't know the flower. By knowing the flower, you don't know the fruit. Never heard that by knowing one thing, you know other thing. So this is what arrested the attention of Shvetaketu. He needed to listen to hear something extraordinary which he had never heard of, never thought of. Otherwise, if the question was expressed in some known terms, that did you ask your teacher about Atma, about this, about God, etc. I know. What's there to know? So he may not be very excited or turned on in knowing Atma or Brahman, but he wants to know everything. Human intellect wants to know everything. Understand that our pursuit of knowing all this stuff, all the time, looking at the social media, WhatsApp, this I want to know. Video comes from there, another video comes from there, and this message comes from here, and this photograph comes from there. So now you get video from Australia, and a photograph from New Zealand, and then some statement from Canada. I want to keep track of what's happening everywhere in the world. So this curiosity or the desire on the part of intellect to know, because I feel uncomfortable when I do not know something. When I confront something, when I do not understand what it is, I do not know how to relate to that. For me to properly relate to a given thing, I should know what it is. If I do not know what it is, then what is this? How to interact with that? How to relate with that? If someone comes before me and says, Swami, if I don't recognize that person, I just wonder, now how do I relate? What do I say? Therefore, knowledge, knowing, before I do any vyavahara, any interaction, anything that I do is always preceded by a judgment about who it is I am interacting with. Before I do anything with this thing, it is required, judgment is required in my mind as to what this is. Whether it is an apple, whether it's a real apple, it's an artificial apple, so that is required for, to happen before I decide how to deal with this, interact with this. Is it not so? And therefore knowing the right knowledge is most important. And that is what, unfortunately, in our life also we are all the time, from pillar to post, we keep on going because we don't really know what it is that we are dealing with. We think we know. But in fact, what we know is nothing but delusion, is Brahma and not a reality. So what is reality? And then what is meant by knowing everything by knowing one thing? So this was something very unusual. not only strange but extraordinary. He was excited. Even you know everything by knowing one thing. This is something unheard of. Katham sadesha bhavati. So he asks, Sir, how is what? Katham sadesha bhavati. In what manner is this adesha, this instruction? What is the nature of instruction? By which, by knowing one thing, I know everything. What is something that I have never heard of, never thought of, and I cannot imagine? How can it be? And therefore, the next sentence comes. So here our Bhashyakara says that Shvetaketu realized there is something that he does not know. He thought that he knew everything. When this question was posed before him, he realized that there is something that he does not know. Not only something that he does not know, there is something very important that he does not know. Something that must be known. Jnatavyam. So not only we proceed to know what we do not know, many things we do not know, we don't care to know also. But jnatavyam, something that has to be known. When we realize that this is something that has to be known, then only we will strive to do what is required to know that. And here also Shvetaketu was made to realize that here is something that has to be known. Because I want to know everything, but then there is something knowing which everything becomes known, then I have to know that. If Shvetaketu thought that, so what? What's the big deal? Suppose. So you know everything by the no, sorry, let it be. If he was indifferent to this, then this dialogue would not have proceeded. But father knew Shvetaketu, he was proud also. At the same time, very intelligent also. Therefore, you could realize that this is something that has to be known. And that is how I remember my own case also. That we were studying this Vedanta, all introductory texts, in Vedanta, in our study groups and stuff like that. Those days in Chinmaya Mission in New York. One thing I could see, whatever I understood is a different thing. One thing I could see in my mind, this is something that one has to know. For what? So that you can live your life intelligently. Still, it was not moksha that motivated me, right? Did you go to become sannyasi? No. Did you want moksha? Never thought of that. Only thing that motivated me to come and study was that this is something that I must know. I must have in-depth knowledge of this so that I can become a better engineer. This look at me, An engineer becomes a better engineer. Anyway, it must be some kind of a great grace that even this thing motivated me to wind up, and that is all, it's a matter of minor details. But once you come here, then there is a different impact. Then engineer business disappears in a couple of days. Then this thing takes over you. And that is how I realize that people outside this gate of this ashram do not know what is in this gate, what is within this. There is no idea at all. So this something happens, something extra, something happens somewhere. So that's what happened to Shvetaketu. That this has to be known. Kathan bhagava sadesha bhavati. Therefore he asks, O Venerable Sir, what's the nature of that adesha? What's the nature of that instruction? And so then we go to the third passage. Yatha somya ekena mritpindena sarvam mrunmayam vijñātam syāt vācārambhanam vikāro nāmadheyam mritvika iti eva satyam. So every Upanishad contributes something unique to the knowledge of Advaita Vedanta. And this is the unique contribution of this Upanishad. What is described in this passage? So kathannu sadesha bhavati iti. How can it be that so says? Eka vijñānina sarva vijñānam. How can it be? It looks like it is impossible. So then the father, now he is teacher by the way. When the son said, Kathannu bhagava sadesho bhavati iti. What is the nature of that instruction? Then he has placed himself at the feet of the father now. And still he is not the student of Brahma Vidya, he is still the student of knowing everything by knowing one thing. But now he realizes his father knows something that he does not know. So father has now created in him respect for him, reverence for him. The Shraddha arises. Otherwise you won't listen. Even if you listen, it won't impact you. So now the son is ready to listen with Shraddha. Then father proceeded how that instruction is. Yatha Somya, again Somya. Oh, good looking one, oh my dear. Yatha ekena mritpindena sarvam. So ekena mritpindena vijñātena sarvam mrunmayam vijñātam syāt. As by knowing a lump of earth or lump of clay, pinda means a lump. Mrutpinda. Mrut can mean clay or earth. Here it is earth, but mrut means also clay. So, ekena mrutpindena, by vijñāte, when one clod or lump of earth or lump of clay is known, sarvam mrunmayam, whatever is made of clay, vijñātam syāt, becomes known. By knowing one lump of clay, you as well know everything that is made of clay. So naturally this statement is going to raise questions. So, ekena mritpindena ghatasharavadi karanabhutena vijñātena. What is mritpinda? What is this lump of clay? It is that from which all the vessels are made. So like a pot, like a pitcher, like a plate, all these various vessels or articles are made from this lump of clay. Even though the word mritpinda or lump of clay is used, we should understand clay. Why then do you say lump of clay? Because clay always comes as lump. Everything comes in some kind of form and name. You follow? Subsequently, an example will be given, like lohamani, by knowing one ornament of gold. Nakhanikrantanayana, by knowing one nail clipper, everything made of iron. So 3 examples are given. But mritpinda is said, even though it is said mritpinda or lump of clay, we should understand that as clay. So by knowing the clay, since clay is an abstract principle really. Clay is something that is abstract and comes always in a form. That is why by knowing the clay, not by knowing the lump of clay, because in a pot which is made of clay, you do not find a lump there. So the various articles that are made of the lump of clay, you don't find lump, you find clay. Therefore, what is meant is that by knowing the clay, whatever is made of clay, such as the pot, such as the pitcher, such as the plate, What is that? Sarmrud vikaram vijnatam syat. Mrunmayam. Mayat is another vikara. Mrunmayam. This word mrut, to that you add the pratyaya, the suffix mayat. That becomes mrunmaya. That mayat is in sense of vikara. All of you know annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, etc. But these are the mayat in sense of vikara. Here also mayat is in the vikara. Means mrunmaya means what? Mrut vikara jatam. All that is the modification of clay. Sometimes transformation of clay. Because the other people use the word transformation. So one thing gets like the gold gets transformed into an ornament. So also clay gets transformed into a pot and pitcher, etc. Vijnatam sya. So then the question is asked, Katham mrutpinde vijnate. So what is mrutpinda? Mrutpinda or mrut is what? Karanam. What is the relationship between clay and a pot? Or clay and a pitcher? What is a pot? Or a pitcher? Or a plate? Mrunmaya, mrut vikara. It is the modification or transformation of clay. So the statement should mean that by knowing clay, everything that is the modification of clay, transformation of clay, clay gets transformed into a pot. Even what is a clay, what is a lump of clay, is nothing but a sudden arrangement of the particles of clay. If you imagine the clay as the finest particle, so what's a pot? Is nothing but the rearrangement or transformation of those particles of clay. So they transform in this way. Like a snake becomes kundali, snake becomes a coil. It's a snake still. The modification of snake is called coil. Snake is another form. What's a coil? Snake is another form. What's an ornament? Gold is another form. So what's a pot? Clay is another form. So what is a pot? A transformation of clay. So now what is the relationship between or difference between the clay and the pot? Clay is the karanam, the cause, and pot is karyam, the effect. Now clay is karanam, all right, cause, all right. What kind of cause? There are two kinds of causes. What are they? Nimitta karanam and upadana karanam. Nimitta karanam means the efficient cause, intelligent cause, instrumental cause. Upadana karanam means the material cause. For making a pot, for example, you require at least two causes. You require the pot maker, minimum. Without pot maker, there is no pot. And of course you require clay for making the pot. Without clay also, there is no pot. But the relationship these two kinds of causes have with the pot are different. The pot maker remains separate from the pot. The nimitta karanam, efficient cause, always remains separate or independent of the karyam or the effect. Whereas the upadana karanam, material cause, is that which pervades the effect. So pot maker, the potter, remains independent of the pot, whereas the clay is that which pervades the pot. You cannot buy a pot without clay. You can buy a pot without the potter. Thank God. Otherwise you get clothes and the tailors also come along with that is unfortunate, or weavers also will come. But nimitta karanam does not accompany the karyam. You cannot buy a pot without buying the clay. So therefore, the relationship that in upadana karanam, upadiyate iti upadanam. When you want to make a pot, you take a lump of clay. Upadiya, that's why it's called upadana. You want to make a roti, you take a little lump of flour, atta, make roti. So that is called the upadana karanam. Anyway, the point is that upadana karanam, the material cause, pervades the effect. So the relationship between clay and pot is that of the upadana karanam and karyam. So karanam and karya. So now Shvetaketu's question was, how can it be that by knowing one thing, the other thing also is known? How can it be? Now, this was something which is most unusual and extraordinary thing. That is why Father said that by knowing clay, you know everything that is a transformation of clay. Meaning that Shvetaketu is generally right. That by knowing the pot, by knowing the clay also you do not know gold. Or by knowing the pot you do not know the fruit, for example, or cloth. It is true. So generally what we know is true, that by knowing one thing you do not know another thing. The ghata and pata. What is ghata? A pot. What is pata? A cloth. So by knowing the pot, you do not know the cloth. So this is how Shvetaketu was. How can it be that by knowing one thing that you know something different? Father's answer is that would have been right had that something known was different. If something else was different, then you would not know. But there's something else. In this case, what are the two things? Clay and the pot. That pot is not something different from clay. So let us first take this example. Then you come to this pot and cloth and stuff like that. That's why you are giving example of pot and clay and then you want to prove everything. No, we will first take this example. It is in one case, by knowing one thing you know the other thing. Meaning that by knowing the clay, you know the pot. Why is it so? Because the pot is not different from the clay. That's the reason why you know the pot by knowing the clay. But then, katham tarhi loke idam karanam asya ayam vikara iti. But then why do you have different words for that? If according to you, the pot is not different from clay, then why do you have two words? Why do you call this a pot? Why don't you call it clay? Please bring clay. You don't say that. You say, please bring pot. Please bring pitcher. Please bring plate. If a pot or pitcher or plate, according to you, are not different from clay, then why do you use these words? Clay is, you call it clay, that's one word. It's called shabda, and then there is pratyaya. So when you utter a word, it creates a concept in the mind, or so pratyaya, knowledge in the mind. So when you use the word clay, it causes cognition of an object called clay. When you use the word pot, it causes a different cognition. You follow? So clay causes one kind of cognition, pot causes different kind of cognition. So that means that these two things are different. Had there been one, they would have caused the same cognition. Had there been one, then clay also would have created a cognition, and pot also would have created same cognition. Then you can say that the two are the same. But these two things cause different cognitions. You use different words to describe them. Then why do we have this vyavahara or shabda prayoga or expression that this is cause and this is effect? Why do we call it a cause by a word called cause, in effect by another word? The fact that you use a different word, that means what? It must be a different thing, is it not so? If it's not a different thing, why do you use a different word? Not only do you use a different word, but seems to create a different kind of a cognition, a different kind of a vritti in my mind. It's called pratyaya. Shabda and pratyaya. Word and cognition? So this question arises. And therefore, then the next statement is made by Father. Vacharammanam vikaronam Bhuttika ityeva satyam. Very most famous statement. Most favorite of our Bhashyakara. This statement may have been quoted I don't know how many times, because this is this statement which clearly reveals the mithyatvam, that the karya or the effect is mithya and karanam cause is satyam. That is very clearly stated here in this statement, Vacharammanam vikaro namadhyam. Vacharambanam, Vag arambhanam. So, or Vag alambanam, something that is simply hanging on the speech. What is the part now? That's interesting. Here, the teacher says, what is the part? Part stands for all the karya, all the effect, all transformations. Take any transformation, like a pot, like a cloth, like an ornament, like anything like that. So what is it? What is the part? Vag arambhanam, something that is hanging on the speech, something that is a product of speech. So arambhanam can be something that is produced by speech. Vag alambanam, that means something that is hanging on the speech. What do you mean? Na vacharanam vikara namadhyam. Namadhyam is merely name. What we call part has no reality more than the word part. This word part, this part, what's the reality that the part has? Nothing more than the word part. A very important concept to understand. Koso vikaro nam eva. Dhya means only. Nama eva. Nama dhya means merely in name, namesake. We use the word namesake means this Swami. Yes, namesake means there is no stuff in there. All there is just, he's a very great scholar. Swami, that's only in name. Something like that, So sometimes we use this expression when there is no content. So when the word is there, but it does not have a content, then we say it is only in name. You follow? There is the word, but no content. It is gold. Swamiji, it just looks gold. There is no, it's only in name. What it is only brass or something like that. Oh, he says, this is a diamond. It's not diamond, Swamiji. It's simply a piece of glass. Just, it glitters. There's no diamond in there. In Yoga Shastra, they use the word vikalpa. Vikalpa means a word for which there is no content. There is no corresponding object. A word which has no corresponding object. In Vedanta, elsewhere, there are famous statements. Mrugatushnam vasisnavaha kha pushpakruta shekharaha shashashunga dhanurdara. So, the Esha vandhya putroya vandhya sutoyati shashashunga dhanurdara. There is a verse like this. You know what it says? Mrugatushnam vasisnata. First of all, it says, here goes Vandhyasuda, the son of a barren woman. Vandhya means one who does not have a progeny. So son and barren, so there is an expression, son of a barren woman. So what is it? Or this boy has just taken bath in what? In mirage water. You know what is mirage water? Just an appearance of water in the desert. So this boy, who is the son of a Vandhya, I'm sorry to use that word, but this is there, I don't like this word, or I don't like this expression. But anyway, so he has taken bath in mirage water. Kapushpa Krita Shekhara. Having taken bath in mirage water now, he has adorned himself with a flower. What? Sky flower. Ka means sky. Kapushpa. Sky flower. Is there such a thing like that? Ishvandhya Sutoyati Shashashrunga Dhanurdhara. He is wielding a bow made of the horn of a hare, horn of a rabbit. Does rabbit have a horn? No. Can you make a bow out of a rabbit horn? No. Do you have something called a sky flower? No. Is there something called mirage water? So these are all words. Mirage water. Sounds like a big deal, but what is it? If you ask what is it, it turns out what? It's a word having no content, no corresponding object. You follow? Mirage water is an expression which has no corresponding object. Also, the rabbit horn. The word is like a square circle, they used to say, It's an expression. Grammatically it's all right. So grammatically expression may be okay. It's a compound word made of two separate words, Except you can't make a compound. It doesn't produce anything, doesn't mean anything. So Vedanta says that what is a pot? What is a pot? Vikaro namadheyam, it is only in name. A pot which is a typical example of transformation, that's all. So Vedanta is like pot. There are very few objects that you find always in Vedanta. Most common example is pot, ghata. Second is cloth, called pata. Third is the room called matha, ghata pata matha, where expressions in Vedanta. Other is the rope snake, the rajju and sarpa. That is the whole Vedantic world. These are the expressions, these are example words that will cover the entire Vedanta. Then, when we were doing this many years ago, when we started our Vedanta classes, after 6 months or 9 months of the classes, one old person at the back, he stood up, Swami, you change the example, Please change the examples, all right. He wanted some variety. But these examples can cover everything. Our Swami used to say in this pata, ghata pata, we can cover the whole universe. Because you can imagine Shankaracharya, where is he? Here. He lives in a hut. What is his possession? He may have a pot of water. He may bring water from the well and he wears a cloth. Upper cloth he may not even have. He may have just a vyasti, So he has a cloth. So ghata is there, pata is there. He lives in a hut, matha is there. And he may need a rope to pull water from the well. Rajju is there. That's all the Acharya has, that's all. So he used to construct the example, that is his world. From that he constructs all examples. So listen to these bhaktas get really irritated, When they listen to and they listen to Vedanta talk, so they say, look at our Krishna. You know what he did? This gopis carried ghata. He threw rocks at the stones, broke them. Gopis had pata, clothes, he stole them. Then there is rope, rajju. Lord Krishna's mother tried to tie him with a rajju and then the thing was endless, she could not tie that. And sarpa, this Kaliya Naga. And so, Krishna did away with all this stuff, your world, But this ghata, what is a pot? Is a philosophical question. Swami, we are not interested, but you are interested. You say there is no object corresponding to a pot. You can fill water in this pot. Can you fill water in clay? Please tell me. Can you fill water in clay? Can you bring water from well to your house in clay? You need a pot, is it not so? Can you store water in clay? No, you need a pot. So pot is usefulness. How can you say there is no pot? Vedanta there is no pot. Vedanta says there is no object corresponding to what a pot means. There is no pot. That's what he says. What do you mean there is no pot? I see it. Not only say I use it. You tell me, without pot, what will you do? Where will you store water? So this is a big thing now. What is real? And so we have some very brilliant people called Vaisheshikas and Nayayikas, great philosophers. You know what they say? There is something called pot and it is real. Because there is such eagerness or such strong need to prove that there is an object called pot, because how else can you... So what is Satyam? According to what is truth, that which is useful is so. So Artha Kriya Karitvam. So this pot serves the purpose of a pot. That was the real thing. The mirage water does not serve the purpose of what is called water, so it is mithya. We accept. But this water we cannot call mithya because it serves the purpose of quenching your thirst. So also, how can you say that there is no pot? It's mithya. It serves the purpose. So this is where the Vedantins, have... anyway, the usefulness is their criterion for determining the truthfulness. Vedantins, what is usefulness? You say that this water is useful, this is real water. Mirage water is mithya water, false water. The water in this jug is real water. Why is it real? Because it is useful. Useful for what? Quenching the thirst. So Vedanta would ask a question. You know something? Last night I was sleeping. When I go to sleep, I always have a pot of water beside me because if I get thirsty, then I can drink water. So last night I was dreaming. In the dream I found myself thirsty for the whole day. And I was so much suffering from this thirst, looking for water everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere. You say that this water is real in that pot, which is beside my bedside. But where was it? Was it useful to me in the dream? This water, which is there in a pot, when I got thirsty in my dream, was it useful? So what is useful? That is called useful, is consistently useful. Useful, then it should be useful in waking, dream, deep sleep, everywhere. No, it's not. So even your usefulness also is just not consistent. Meaning that you cannot say that water has usefulness also. It doesn't always quench the thirst of a thirsty person. That is just beside, by the way, when you go to Mandukya Karika, then you'll find this argument there. But anyway, so usefulness is not the criterion for Satyam. What does Vedanta say? What is Satyam? Abhaditam Satyam. That which cannot not be. That which cannot not be, means that which always is, of which the existence cannot be erased, which cannot be negated. If you want to translate in English, abhaditam, that which cannot be negated, that which cannot not be is called Satyam. What about this pot? If it falls from my hand and breaks into pieces, where is pot? Is it there anymore? Then you have something called shards, something, It gets another name and form. And if you take a hammer and pound it, it becomes what? Powder. Another name and form. So what is this pot? A name and a corresponding form. But it can be called real provided it always remains so, but it does not, because name and form is something that is relative, it is changing. So you thought that I have left a pot here yesterday, today you find some pieces there, it's no more there. endeavor, then what about the clay? In what we call pot, what is the status of clay? When you break the pot into pieces, there is no more pot is gone, is destroyed. How about clay? Is the clay destroyed? When you even pound it into powder, the name and form is gone, previous name and form is gone. The clay, has it gone? So what's this pot? Pot is a union of two aspects. One is clay, other is... See, when you just look at this, now we are running out of time, but anyway, you look at the creation of a pot. When a potter makes a pot, first of all, it displays a lump of clay, right? You have seen. So when you see lump of clay, then you know what the clay is. When you see the lump of clay, you know what the clay is. Then what does the potter do? He transforms the lump into a pot. That's what you have. So in this one, what is this aspect? The clay aspect. Now clay you already have seen before. So you know that the clay is the same in this part. The clay is what it was before. Meaning clay is not created. Is it not so? Before the creation of pot, the clay was very much there. When the pot is there, then also the clay is there. Meaning that there is no change or transformation in clay. Then when you say pot is created, what is created? In this pot there are two aspects. There is clay and there is name and form. Clay is not created. Because clay remains the same. Then what is created? Name and form. So suppose you have a deal that I retain the clay and you take away the name and form. What will you get? So what is the pot? When you say pot is created, what is created? Name and form. So when you use the word clay, there is substance corresponding to the word clay. Is that right? What I am touching is clay, what I am tasting is clay, what I am smelling is clay. When you use the word pot, is there a substance corresponding to the word pot? I say substance. Something tangible. When you use the word clay, there is a tangible substance, that is clay, which you know very well because it was there before the creation of pot. It is there now and it will remain even when the pot breaks. When you use the word pot, what is substance? Is there a substance corresponding to the word pot? Or take away the clay from the so-called pot. Now if what is created is name and form, what is pot? Clay plus name and form, isn't it? What is pot? Clay plus name and form. Is it not so? No? No, people are nervous, they're hesitant to give any answer, but anyway. What is pot? Clay. Now, if you heard my previous lecture, then you can give an answer, I know. So, what is pot? Clay plus name and form. See, pot is equal to clay, clay plus name and form is equal to pot, right? That's the equation. Suppose clay is A, name and form is B, this pot is equal to C. A plus B is equal to C, correct? Clay, A, name and form B equal to pot C. Is that clear? A plus B is equal to C, isn't it so? Now if you transform, then C minus A should be B, is it not so? If A plus B is equal to C, then if you transform A, then C minus A should be equal to B. This is simple, isn't it? I don't need to write it on a board or something, hopefully. That much you can visualize in your mind, isn't it? If A plus B is equal to C, then if you transport A from here, then C minus A should be B, is it not so? Now remember, what is A? Clay. What is B? Name and form. What is C? Pot. So now same equation written differently. C minus A is equal to B. What is C? Pot. What is A? Clay. So pot minus clay is equal to B, which is what? Name and form. Good. So remove the clay from the pot and what you have is name and form. Is there anything left? When you remove clay from the pot, is there anything? No, it should be left. If A plus B is equal to C, then C minus A should be equal to B. Is it not so? So you should get back your name and form. When you go to this goldsmith and sell him your ornament, and you sell an ornament only as a last resort, and it's a very emotional, touching scene, because this bangle comes from my great grandmother, this comes from here, and there is a tremendous attachment, and then you give it to this. That fellow just takes it, and weighs it on a balance. He is emotionless fellow. And you know what he gives you? He gives you money worth the weight of this ornament. But what about all this, the names and form? He gives you nothing, does he? When you go to a goldsmith or a businessman or a jeweler and give you the ornament, what does he give you? Return in money? Only equal to gold. He gives you may have spent a lot of money for making. When you go back to him and give him lump and want a bangle, he'll charge maybe 1,000 rupees or whatever it is, When he returns to you, does he return 1,000 rupees for the name and form? No. Is there any substance called name and form? Then where is it? What is it? What is it? It is nothing but a notion or a concept in the mind, is it not so? It's a very important thing. So you can see the powerful example that the pot and clay is in it. It's not for nothing that our Swami would say that I can explain the whole Vedanta with this, All right. But so we'll have to continue the discussion tomorrow. We can think about it tonight, what's going to follow. But so this clay, that is a substance corresponding to the word clay, there is no substance corresponding to the word pot. Why am I say pot? Because before creation of this pot, there was clay. So you know what clay is and what is the substance corresponding to the word clay. Then the pot is created. So now you are looking for a substance corresponding to the word pot. So what is created? Substance remains the same in the pot and clay and pot. So what is created? But what is name and form? Does it produce any money? Does it have any kind of substance? No. You can see all our vyavahara. What is vyavahara? All our transaction is all going on at what name? So what is, you are filling water, you are carrying water, all of this done by so-called pot. All the vyavahara takes place at what level? Level of name and form. So whatever be the reality of this name and form, the reality of the whole vyavahara, understand this. That's what Vedanta teaches here. So here is the source of this expression. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. That Brahma is real and Jagat is Mithya. Mithya means what? Mithya. Our Swami could not find a appropriate word to translate the word mithya, you can say at the most, meaning, and he used to just imitate some, but the thing is, it's called unreal, etc. But as long as you understand what mithya is, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, that basic principle comes from this statement. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।